You're listening to The Authenticity Show, where you get to eavesdrop on great conversations about health, creativity, and the quest for excellence. Your hosts are Carlos Casados and Satch Purcell. Our guest today is Sandy Chasteen. Sandy Chasteen is a fun and really interesting person to talk to, and if you don't know who she is, I think you're going to like her a lot. This conversation begins with a discussion of her time as an officer in the Air Force, specifically with regards to sexual assault, which unfortunately is pretty common in the military. And then we move into more present-day stuff where she is a networking guru and a holistic health coach and an essential oils expert and so many other things. I mean, this woman is kind of amazing. So here we go, Sandy Chasteen.
So I was at officer training school, and it was actually the smallest class in history. There were only 5 or 7 women in the entire class, maybe 63, 65 trainees in the entire program. But I remember we were all at the officers club together, and men drinking beer, things happen. And I remember as I was leaving, somebody said something in my general direction, and I remember walking by and I put my hand on his shoulder and I'm like, no, thank you. Right. And I patted him on the shoulder and then I left. And so that night you can't really lock your doors and stuff. It's like a dormitory setting. And he came in very drunk and I was on the bottom bunk and he just kind of just jumped in there and invited himself in. And I was like, oh, hell no, this is not happening. And I'm not the toughest girl in town, but I could fend for myself and I was not drunk. So that made it a lot easier. And but it was a battle. It was a battle. And then when I woke up and you're startled and what do you do when you're one of the only women on the floor? Right. And anyway, I got him out of there, and I remember I barricaded my door with like a chair or something because you couldn't really lock them. And then the next morning, we had a big dry erase board in the hallway, and it said, OT Funk, Funk's my maiden name, OT Funk gives really great head. And I was like, huh. Wow. All right. This is what every girl wants to see on the way to the bathroom in the morning. And I just said, excuse me. No, actually she doesn't. And if we could correct this, that would be great. And I remember erasing it. And then when we went to breakfast, it was all the Snickers and the whatever. And they were all patting him on the back and stuff. And I'm like, let's rewind this. And what exactly happened? And, It was very interesting because he was one of the top performers in the class, and he was very physically able and all of that. And he actually broke a whole bunch of rules, not just that. And I remember there was actually a legal proceeding where they were trying to charge him for not what he did to me, but for all these other things. And I remember the lawyer questioning me and asking me, well, did he do this? Did he do that? Like, did he leave early? Did he not do his whatever little duties? And I was like, and I'm looking at him like, you're asking all the wrong questions. Yeah. Based on my experience with this person. And long story short, he didn't get charged with anything, and they made him the #1 OT graduate. So he was the honor graduate on top of everything. And I wasn't the only one that he had, attempted to assault. But I remember telling my flight commander what actually happened, and he was just so appalled. But there were no systems in place to take appropriate action, and all I had was this interchange with the lawyer, and they didn't ask any of the, appropriate questions. And I just sat there, I was like, wow, really? And then when I told my flight commander and the lawyer what really happened, then the repercussions were that all of his buddies, if you will, that all of their parents were like, 06s and above in the military, they filed a complaint against me that I led him on at the officers club and that I invited him to my room and it was totally consensual. I was like, no.
As an attempt to get ahead of it.
Exactly.
Type of thing.
So then the entire officer training school campus and everybody, it was like in the blotter kind of thing, was this charge against me that I was falsifying this, claim. And so it was just a huge waste of time. And I was like, wow. It was just, so humiliating. And I was one of the top people as well. But for him to get the honor spot for our class. And my flight commander just sat right next to me, and he's like, just remain calm. I was like,
wow.
Oh, so frustrating.
What happened to the concept of an officer and a gentleman?
Exactly.
You know?
And that's what I told him. I said, is this what I'm walking into? Is this what it is to be a commissioned officer? When these are my peers, these are the people that I'm relying on. These are the people that my life is held in conjunction with. Awesome. Good to know. Duly noted.
Yeah, that's a whole another level of insult to the problem there. I mean, there's the physical and the other aspects of it, but there's also that element of what about this, fraternity or whatever you want to call this grouping of people that we have an honor-bound system supposedly.
Mm-hmm.
Betrayal.
And the integrity.
It's betrayal.
Because in the officer corps, it's all about integrity and, the oath, I will not lie, cheat, or steal, nor will I tolerate those who do. And I'm like, what happened to that? When I'm looking at this complaint, I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Because none of this is true.
They're supposed to be like knights. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's supposed to be a code. There's supposed to be honor, self-honor, honor of others, and they're not knights, They're not warrior monks, It's incredibly disappointing.
And I've always held the position of love, compassion, and non-judgment. That's my guiding force, always has been. Mm-hmm. And I remember right before graduation, we were in the throes of all the slanderous things and all the different accusations and stuff. But we still had our training to do. And so we were running the track, and I was one of the fastest women, but a totally different story. But I had stress fractures from my ankle to my mid-femur at the time, and I had a cracked femur. So I actually had a broken leg on top of everything else.
Was this sprints or relay or long distance?
So this is whatever the mile run or that they have to time me for. So I was totally bandaged up, hobbling along because you had to complete it or you couldn't get your commission type of thing. And I was always the fastest, but I had developed these stress fractures. And so when everybody's running towards the end, everybody gathers and high fives everybody. And it's customary to kind of run the last little bit with people. And I always did that for everybody. We always did it. And so this guy that had assaulted me, 6 nights prior, he came running right next to me. And I'm like, I have tears streaming down my face because I'm in so much pain with this stress fracture situation. And he's running beside me, and he was apologizing for what he did.
Wow.
Right? And I'm running, and I'm like, can you just let me finish my run? And I'm like, I forgive you, but just let me finish my run.
It's like, this is the moment you chose.
Right.
Right now.
When I'm in extreme pain and whatever. So anyway, good times.
It's interesting
that
he
I had a really
did
great
it
time.
at all. Wow.
Yeah. That's
And they wanted to MEB me, right? So that was like the biggest insult for everything. I'm in the middle of this, attempted sexual assault thing. And then they wanted to not kick me out, but excuse me for a medical evaluation. I'm just like, you know what? A broken leg, whatever. I'm just going to graduate.
Wow. Wow.
And that added a whole other dimension that you're going to attack somebody that's bandaged up, really.
Yeah. Wow.
But I managed to defend myself. But anyway, but on that whole broader topic, as a woman in the military, also as one that's, I won't call myself attractive, but
you're
in
attractive.
In a sea of other women that don't wear makeup, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So, it was not uncommon for senior officers, like if we were on a deployment, to invite you to their room. I remember one colonel, he left his room key on we were all in the dining facility, and he put his room key under my dinner plate. And I was like, really? Wow. No, thank you.
Wow, really
Does that actually work?
Me, Yeah.
I mean, do people...
so this person had a reputation for that.
Okay.
And so I remember the next morning I came down to breakfast, and everybody was looking at me sideways like, did she do it? And I'm just like, wow, no, she did not. And I stood up in front of everybody. I'm like, no, she did not. I was like, you guys, seriously, stop.
With that jackass,
Right, exactly.
But it's this is 25 years ago, but it was rampant. It was rampant. It's kind of like the whole Vegas thing. When people deploy, a lot of stuff goes down.
Jeez. So, what prompted some of this discussion was the fact that, I had been looking at statistics, and it was a terribly shocking statistic to hear and to read was that 1/3 of all women in the military are sexually assaulted. And as I was saying to you earlier, that wouldn't necessarily have shocked me if it were 50 years ago or something like that. It would have been terrible, but I wouldn't have been as shocked because I know enough about our history to think that, okay, that really sucks, but it's not shocking to me. I understand that that's kind of how badly it sucks or sucked. But it really shocked me that here it is, almost 2020, and that's still the case. In the age of whistleblowing and cell phones and email and all that stuff, and women's rights being more in the forefront and just everything. To me, I'm shocked that is still the case. And that kind of prompted my question to you about it.
There's an entire military sexual trauma division of the VA right now to handle these cases. Because I've recently been re-engaging with the Veterans Affairs on a variety of different things. And it's a big thing. And many women still won't report.
My goodness.
Wow.
I don't know if I know any women in the military that have not been assaulted. How's that?
That's interesting. Something.
My first tour, so I leave officer training school with that behind me, right? And so I went straight from officer training school to Korea. No training. I just, like a week. I didn't get to go to tech school because of everything. Anyway, and I show up, and I remember I was in the in-processing room, and this captain in a flight suit hit on me in processing. And I looked at him and I said, "You just introduced yourself and said you were married with 4 kids stateside. Why are you asking me out on a date?" And he's like, "Well, we're in Korea. We're going to be here for a whole year." And I'm like, "Dude, I am so not interested."
Wow.
And so that was like my first week in Korea. And then I was a section commander for a maintenance squadron. So I had 650 guys that were very protective of their lieutenant. And I remember I was at a movie theater a few months later with a fellow officer that was one of my best friends. And then I had about 18 of my troops at the movie theater. It just so happened. They all went. And so they're like, "LT, sit with us." Well, that same captain was like 3 rows over. And he stood up and made a very lewd comment in my general direction. And I was like, "Dude, told you before, not interested." And the officer sitting right next to me was like, "Are you serious that you just made that comment to her in a public setting?" And then all of my maintenance troops stood up. And they're like, "Seriously? That's our commander that you just made that comment to." And it scared the crap out of him. And so the next week he had a check ride, and he failed the check ride. And he blamed it on the stress of the scene that I created at the movie theater. And I said, "You know what? I've already had this happen once. We're not doing this again." But I had to report to my commander. I had to make a formal thing. And on the officer side, it's small groups of people, So here I am, my first tour remote in Korea. And now, you hang out with these small circles of officers, and I was ostracized because whatever I was doing, I didn't do anything. I was just sitting in the movie theater, and this guy made this lewd comment to me, but he failed his check ride. And so he blamed it on me. And I was just like, wow. So to be an attractive woman in the military was a disadvantage.
So yet he didn't blame the other men that said something in your defense.
Right. And so I had so many witnesses. I had my 18 maintenance troops and a fellow commissioned officer sitting right next to me, witnessed the whole thing.
God.
Wow.
So I have lots of stories.
Wow.
It just goes on and on and on.
We're glad you made it.
Thank you.
We're really glad you made it intact.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was proud to hear that those other guys, came to your defense.
Yeah.
Right? Because, that's really what the code is supposed to be.
Yep.
If guys have, a female friend or not even a friend, just a female, right? And they know that somebody's being inappropriate. The code amongst men is to be like, "Hey, buddy, hey, how about you stop?" You know what I mean? We and that's the nice version,
Yeah. Check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Right. It's like that code is there, and it surprises me that there isn't much more of that in the military. Perhaps there's opportunity for that, but just wish I'm hearing more of that.
Well, thank you for just being open and vulnerable and sharing your experience. And
you bet. If it helps one person out there, then that's the name of the ball game.
Yeah. I appreciate that about you, that you are authentic in that way.
That's the name of this show, man.
That's right. Hence the invitation to be on the show.
We don't have time for being inauthentic.
Yeah.
It's time to just keep it real and heal the world.
I agree. Mm-hmm. What do you say? What say you, Satch?
I said, well, yeah, what she said. Yeah, that's what I'm going to go with. Yeah.
Well, we talk about authenticity as genuineness, but we also talk about authenticity as being self-authoring. Yes. And that's another reason why you're here in the show in particular, because I wanted to ask you some things about how you've self-authored your way doing what you do. So I know you from our networking group and all that. That's been a lot of fun. But I want to kind of, as a preamble, say that I really like you because I always feel good in your presence, and you seem to be able to do that with everybody. Like whenever I'm around and I see you greeting people, I see people light up. I have a lot of sensory acuity, and I look at people and they're just like really thrilled to see you, and you make them feel good. And it looks very much like the way I feel when I see you. So I said to you earlier tonight, you're one of the most powerful networkers I've ever met. You're good at it. Like you're unconsciously, like stupidly good at it. Like you're awesome.
Oh, thank you.
And I'm wondering if that's a huge part. It seems like it would be a huge part of why you're more successful in the business that you do, that a lot of people struggle at and never get off the ground with the essential oils and doTERRA and all that kind of stuff. You seem really good at that. And the way you've organized the networking groups and the way you've organized your essential oil business reminds me of what you were describing, organizing those things for those 5-star generals. Mm-hmm. So could you talk a little about that and how that is for you?
I just kind of drift through life. Sometimes I feel like Mr. Magoo. I feel like I'm just doing my thing and seeing what happens. I strive to live in joy, right? And I said it before, the love, compassion, and non-judgment. And I look at every other human being that I interact with. I have an education background, right? So we always say there's an opportunity to learn in every interaction. Every interaction is an opportunity to learn. So when I meet somebody, my subconscious mind, I think, is basically saying, ooh, this person's interesting. What am I going to learn from them? And so I think what happens is the energy that I give off is genuine warmth and curiosity. Mm-hmm. I think that's the key. It's funny. I was exploring some employment opportunities, and I stumbled into a place called Women Helping Women in Irvine. It's a great little job support place. And so they have all these different classes, and there was one on networking, and I went to it yesterday. And I actually thought it was like a networking session where we would go to physically network, but it was a class on how to network. And so I show up ready to network. And so the gal teaching the class, she's teaching the basics. And I'm like, And we were going around the room, and she was connecting with everybody and saying, what do you do? And so she was trying to give networking tips. And then she got to me, she's like, okay, so in the holistic world, I don't know, like what you would do in the holistic world. I said, that's totally fine. I created my own networking group for holistic practitioners. We all need to support each other. And it's like, I didn't mean to, but I kind of started, teaching the class. I'm like, well, I have my own niche. I have my own world. So I just had to create it around what I wanted, and I said, I just love the holistic community.
Did you network explain her?
Pardon?
Did you network explain to her?
It was pretty funny, but she's like, "Oh, okay. Well, you seem to have a handle on this, And so she's coming over for an aroma touch in a couple days.
Oh, she?
Yes. You did it again.
They can't resist you.
Yeah, but it was really fun. She's like, "Oh, I want to network with you," and I'm like, "Okay, let's go." But I think that's what it is I see the light in every other person, so it's not a chore. It's not stressful. Like I genuinely love meeting new people. Because you have your own world. And, what can I learn from you? What can I learn from you? Look at them, And I don't, sense energy the way some people do. I don't know. I'm naturally curious about people.
Okay.
So have you guys taken the Clifton Strength Finders test?
I know what it is, but I have not taken it.
Yeah, so I highly recommend that. And
Strength
so that
Finders.
There's Myers-Briggs and what's your color and all that other stuff. But I love this one. So my strengths are positivity, communication, woo. Oh, now I can't remember the other ones. Futuristic, so I can see the end goal. So like in the world of network marketing, it's like, I can see the end goal. It's right there. What's the problem? Let's go. Woohoo, let's go. You know? But that's my energy, you know? So if that's how I'm wired, why not exploit that?
Yeah.
Now, I'm a little short on the whole strategy, follow-up, the action piece, but I'm very good at connecting with people and making them feel good about themselves.
Well, that was a lovely, simple strategy that you shared. Just to look at somebody and then just wonder, ooh, what can I learn from this person?
Yeah.
So it's
That
not what am
alone,
I going to get from them, but
what am I going to learn?
Rather, what am I going to learn?
Because, there's just something about that. You looked at me when you said that a little while ago. And I thought, that's what I saw before in you. Because I did once come to one of the luncheons just to meet Carlos.
Yeah.
I came from work and I didn't stay. I came late and I left early, right? It was one of those kinds of things.
Yeah.
But
Snuck in.
yeah, but I have had the chance to see you in action. And when you just said that and you looked at me when you said, I thought, I recognize it now. And just by sharing that, that's going to help me. That's something that I could use. Next time I'm just going to, well, if Sandy were here, she'd be curious about what she could get to learn from this person.
Yeah.
And I can step into that too.
Yeah, for sure.
And just do that.
And you don't technique that. That's something maybe techniques could come from, but that's like an underlying way that you're going about it. That's not technique. It's who you are. It's your vibe you're putting out, and stuff naturally flows from that place.
Yeah. It's kind of like, when you're a little kid and you see somebody you admire do something that you like, then you go and do it because you want to be like this person you admire. Like you said, it's not a technique. It's just embodying this person that is able to do something that you admire. You know? So.
And I'm just truly fascinated by people, and I'm utterly fascinated by people in the holistic community. And so leading a networking group as the facilitator, what am I really doing? I'm just introducing everybody to spend 2 minutes to talk about themselves. Can I think of anything more fun than that? No. So I think that comes through because I'm genuinely excited to hear what everybody does.
Yeah, that's neat.
And we all are learning from each other. And it's more fun in the holistic world because it's not, I sell insurance. I'm a banker. I'm a painter. It's every time each of you share what you do, it's like we all get a little nugget. And it's not scripted. It's not a ploy. It's just, you're just genuinely sharing what you do and what you're passionate about. I just think it's exciting.
Exciting is a good word for it because it's like if I had a scale for the energies, it's in the upper scale. It's like the stuff that you do when you're getting people together. It's super high energy, whether or not you're jumping around or not. It's like not like you have to go crazy and shake your hands everywhere, your hair's bouncing and you're jumping up and down. It doesn't have to be like that. There's something about the excitement that comes across and makes people feel like that frequency knob has been turned up and it's going, it's like raising up and you can feel it.
Well, and if you guys are getting a benefit from that, then that brings me great joy.
We're getting buzzed over here.
Yeah. I literally get high connecting people.
Yeah.
I am a total connector. And when I see two people that can, help solve a problem, I literally will start to cry. I get so excited. I'm like, oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a cheap fix right there.
Right?
Yeah.
So good it hurts.
Yeah. And it's funny because for a long time in our group, we never charged any money. And people are like, you need to get paid for this. I'm like, I'm happy. That's all the payment I need. So we started charging $10 or something, which is nothing, right? But so at least you get a little, it pays for my lunch, or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm like, no, I'm really just having fun.
How long have you been doing this network group? This current one?
Gosh, probably 4 or 5 years now. And it started out because I would go to other networking events in the evening And it's like there's always a speaker and you have like 10 minutes to network and you don't get to talk to people afterwards. And I was always saying, let's go to lunch. I want to learn more about what you do. What do you do? I want to learn about that. Let's go to lunch on Tuesday. And so I would, like, whoever I really clicked with, we would all go to lunch the next Tuesday. And then we could really have a conversation, over an hour and a half instead of just 10 minutes of networking. And so somebody said, you need to have your own group and just call it Lunch Bunch where you get together. And I'm like, okay. So that's how it started.
Okay.
And so then I just said, okay, so next Tuesday is Lunch Bunch. Whoever wants to come and learn more about what each other does, come join us for lunch. Super cash.
Wow.
And then it just grew over the years.
Yeah, and sometimes it's quite large.
Yeah, we've had 40, 50 people before, and that's overwhelming for me.
Yeah.
And what's overwhelming is I know not everybody's going to get to share for at least 2 minutes because I can't, because we'd be there for 3 hours. And so I hate having to say, ding, ding, ding. I'm sorry, we need to move on. You know? And then I can't ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
But most people have like a fear of public speaking. So I hope that my energy helps them be less fearful and
Yeah, I'm sure it does.
safe.
Partly
I'm going for safe.
You create safety, but you also you remember even when you've just met somebody a little bit, and so you often say a little something about them anyway. So even if they didn't cover it, you kind of point it out. So that's really good of you, and it also does create comfort for people.
Well, thank you.
Everybody loves to hear good things about them, even if they feel a little shy about it. It still feels good. Warm fuzzies and all that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, we know that you were in the military. Maybe just, for the sake of the recording here, just kind of explain what your role was in the
I was
military.
a corps personnel officer. Totally boring. I ran the personnel divisions.
You were like
all that
HR.
kind of stuff. I was like
human resources.
We ran the whole department like at each unit level.
So you were always involved with people and managing people and managing data and information and
and then I became a protocol officer. So we're basically the right hand person for the the commander of the base. In this case, it was a 2-star general. So I would run all of the large scale events, all the awards, ceremonies, promotions, that type of thing. And I was the welcome wagon. So any generals that came to visit dignitaries, we would set up the itineraries and do everything from greet them at the front gate to set up water, to the parties, to the dinners, to making sure the car was at the right place at the right time. That was actually a very stressful job. And lots of people got fired before me. So it was my quest just to not get fired.
Wow.
And I did a really good job. And at the end, my commander said, "You've done a great job." Actually, he said, "Would you rather be nominated for Air Force, like Officer of the Year, or would you rather have a flight in an F-16? I'm like, flight in an F-16, screw the award. Anybody can win that award. Take me up. But my only regret was I had just given birth to my first child. And so here's your tip of the day. Don't go for an F-16 ride while you're nursing. I don't recommend that because 7Gs can get really freaking uncomfortable.
Oh, I'll bet. Yeah.
I thought you were going to tell me something about the cockpit, and never mind.
And they you do like all the safety stuff. You have to hang upside down and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, this is really uncomfortable.
Right. Does milk curdle at high altitudes?
See, you went there, Satch.
I went there. I'm sorry.
I'm not gonna. I don't know if I can say this or not. But
sorry, we got Tina laughing over here.
Yeah, but it was a lot of fun, and the general kind of got me back. He's like, "Remember that visitor with that one general that didn't go as we thought?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, that was a bad day." And he was like, "Poosh!"
Hard right.
Yeah,
wow.
But it was a lot of fun. So he got me back for some things, but it was fun. I didn't throw up. A lot of times the distinguished visitors, they're all excited to go on an F-16 ride, and then they totally throw up all over themselves, right? Yeah. And I'm at the end with the camera crew for the photo op when they're done. And
I get
sometimes
nauseated
that's
in the car.
uncomfortable.
I get nauseated in the car. I'd have taken the award.
Yeah.
But why couldn't you have had both? See, I'd have asked for both.
Yeah.
I did get a big award.
Okay, good. Just making sure.
I got a big medal. I was very well taken care of.
Okay.
Tell us about the socks.
Socks. What are you talking about? Socks? His socks with the hole in it?
No. We have awesome socks, but there was a certain general and some socks. I remember some story about missing socks.
Oh, I don't know. I was always prepared for whatever. That was kind of my trademark, is that whatever random scenario you threw at me, I was ready. That made me the best protocol officer ever. So I had one boss that was notorious for random problems. And so like he would show up wearing blue socks. And he had to go like do a big presentation. I'm like, dude, you're wearing blue socks. And I would just open up my drawer. I'm like, here's some black socks. Put these black socks on. He's like, how do you have black socks? I'm like, I have it all. I had everything. So one
Some
day
officer of the year, of course.
Yeah. One day he showed up with like the wrong T-shirt on. And I'm like, whatever, dude, I got your T-shirt. But generals, especially when they're flying literally around the globe, right, for these big events, it's very easy to forget something. And so I was always ready. So I was the one that had the extra hat, the extra medals, the extra ties, the extra clips, the extra whatever, the socks, the belts, the belt loop, the belt buckle. So I always had all that stuff. Because think about how easy is it to go on a trip and forget your belt. And if you're in front, you're the leader, everybody's looking at you, that's not acceptable.
Right.
And so, yeah, I had one general, he forgot his shoes. That was a little tricky because he was like size 13 or something huge. And so I had to real quick run to the store and get his shoes. And one 4-star general forgot his rank lapels for his service dress. That was a tricky one because they don't always have those stocked at the little on-base store. But yeah. Boy. And in our DV, the fancy, you have the regular hotel rooms, and then you had the fancy ones. And so those were completely decked out. I actually helped our base win a big award, Installation Excellence Award, because of how I helped deck out the DV quarters, because everything you could have forgotten, I had there. So I had a jewelry box set up with all of the different accoutrements that could have been left behind, and the socks and the shoes and the T-shirt. I always had them in a drawer. So if worst case scenario, it was right there. And the inspectors loved that. And so we got massive bonus points for that. So that was pretty cool.
I pretty much guaranteed the person who replaced you when you left got fired.
Yeah, they hated.
Yeah.
So
Poor
actually,
person. It's not
people
fair.
kept in touch with me. They're like, "Oh, just so you know, Carlos got fired."
I hate
So it's
you.
kind of funny.
I hate you, Sandy.
I messed up I messed up a lot of people. The other thing with that award, it was kind of funny. We would give the base brief, the public affairs mission briefing or whatever. And I remember this big awards team was coming in. So our commander had us redo everything with all the latest stats. And the poor guys in the back trying to get everything just perfect. And so we had this huge inspection team, all of the, colonels and generals in the room. And I'm the coordinator of it all. And as they were getting started, the public affairs guys brought up the wrong briefing.
Whoops.
So it was the old stats, and it was like the whole reel was just wrong. And I'm smiling through it all like, well, can't stop now. And I just was smiling. And the inspectors were all watching me. And then they watched the commander give me the evil eye. And then he looked at me and was like, come over here now. And so I crouched down. I'm like, yes, sir, what can I do? And he's like, this is all wrong. And blah, blah, blah. And he whispered, chewed me out.
Yeah.
In front of everybody. And I just kept smiling. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely, sir. We'll take care of that, sir. What else are you going to do?
Yeah.
Right? And the team was just watching me. I'm like, yes, sir. Absolutely. But I was just totally nonplussed about them. I'm just like, there is nothing I can do about this situation. I apologize, sir. There's nothing I can do. We're going to fix it at the next whatever. And, we ended up winning this big award, this Air Force thing. And one of the inspectors, he pulled me to the side and he said, I want to let you know that you're the one that won the award for that wing. He's like, that general was chewing you out publicly for something that clearly wasn't your fault. They're like, we looked around, we could tell it wasn't your fault. He's like, you took one for the entire wing. And he's like, and you were completely, unflappable. I was like, well, didn't really have a choice. He's like, well, you went, and it was like $1 million or something for programs or whatever. But I was like, well, okay, cool. Thank you.
Wow. So sad.
But you just keep smiling.
I can't understand how she would be successful in business or any of that kind of stuff. I mean, she's such a slouch and
I know.
Totally unorganized, and basically you're incompetent, Cindy. And it's obvious that, I don't know, it's just pure luck, right?
pure love.
Right, yeah. Well, what's interesting is I have a sense of justice in me, right? So I'm quite bothered that this general chewed you out for something that was not your fault.
As the protocol officer, we get blamed for a lot of things.
So whose fault was
that's
it?
Protocol.
And why did this general not understand this?
He did understand it, but I was the only one that could be right there to take the heat. And he was just like beet red. It's okay. It all works out at the end.
Yeah, kick the dogs.
I went from that base to Hawaii. It was a beautiful thing. I had a great... I went off to do many bigger and better things and be commander of many units and stuff like that. So
yeah,
I think everybody, it's kind of like waiting on tables. I think everybody should be a protocol officer just to feel that.
Did this make you tougher?
Yes. I can smile through anything.
Okay. So in a way, this really brought out your resilience, huh?
Yes, I would agree.
Wow. That served you, I'll bet.
Yeah, I have to tell another funny story. So I'm on this whole job thing, and so I'm reconnecting with all of these veterans agencies because intuitively and spiritually I'm being guided to help people, my fellow vets, with anxiety, depression, and PTSD. And so I've already shared 2 or 3 stories that you would think I would be totally traumatized by, but I'm not. I actually feel really great. And I've had other challenges to work through. But anyway, so I was connecting with this veterans employment agency, if you will. And he's like, what do you want to do? And so I told him some things. I'm like, I'm not sure. I want to serve my fellow veterans to be the best that they possibly can. And, and help them with these things. I'm like, I'm a holistic health coach. I've got the oils. I've got this. I've got my experience. And so he took my resume and he's like, okay, I want you to come back in a week and a half and really get clear on what you want to do. So I was like, okay. So I showed up today and he's like, okay, where are we? What are we doing? I said, well, I'm assessing my knowledge, my skills, and my abilities. And all I can say is I want to help other veterans to succeed in life and do whatever I can to help them. And he looked at me and goes, we'd like to offer you a position on our staff. And I just laughed. I'm like, well, where's the fun in that? I'm supposed to be on this big quest, this big job hunt. I'm like, you can't offer me a job before you even take me through the process. So it was
Make
pretty
me work
funny.
for it.
It was pretty funny.
That is funny.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I'm like, oh, okay. All right. So I don't know. That just happened this morning.
Wow.
So I don't know. So I have to mull it over and see if I would like to go to this. But I can't think of any, there's lots of different ways to serve my fellow veterans. But knowing what I know, and when people are just leaving the military and they've got a lot of baggage, right? And then they're trying to transition to the civilian sector, there's going to be ways that I can serve them above and beyond. Fill out this packet. Let me see your resume. You know what I'm saying? So I think he's kind of looking at me like a secret weapon in the office. Yeah. He also thinks I'm kind of sassy.
Smart man.
Yeah. So he just laughed and he's like, I want you sitting in that cubicle right there. He's like, I want to watch you in action when people come in and they're not prepared. Cause he's like, you're not going to give them any, he's like, I know you're going to shred these people. He's like, but you're going to whip them into shape and you're going to help them to be the best that they can. And he's like, and I just want to witness it. And I was like, oh, okay, that sounds fun. I'm like, but is it fun? Because it has to be fun. If it's not fun, I'm out. And so I shadowed him actually, this is kind of funny. I shadowed him for about 3 hours to see what it was. And I was learning as we went. And his first appointment was somebody that I worked with at Whole Foods. And so as a holistic health coach, I worked at Whole Foods Market and I ended up working in the juice bar and I taught juicing classes and that type of thing. So this gal was working on her master's in social work at USC while working at Whole Foods. So she worked in grocery. So she comes in for her appointment with this guy and I'm just listening and shadowing and they're doing their whole thing. And she keeps looking at me and she's like, did you work at Whole Foods? I was like, I did. And I was like embarrassed, like, oh, I did.
Whole
yes.
paycheck.
And she's like, no, I totally worked with you. And she's like, I totally remember you worked in the juice bar. You always made really great juices. I'm like, oh, thanks. And this guy was like, seriously? Do you know everybody?
Yes.
That's funny.
So but everywhere I go, I bump into, it's making these connections, right?
Yeah. You're a
and
natural
so
networker.
Everywhere
That's
I
what
go,
you are.
I know people and it's pretty fun.
Very neat.
But anyway, so
confidence.
she got her master's in social work, and she ended up getting this great job, but lots of transitions. And I actually got to sit down with her, and I'm like, okay, let's get super clear. What do you want to do? What are your skills? And he handed her the packet, but I'm like, all right, let's really talk. Wow. It was just really fun. Okay. I'm like, I can do this.
Well, I'd like to talk juice.
Juice.
Personally. I mean, what is your...
They wandered in the desert for 40 years.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Bada bing, bada boom.
I think I'm the only one that like gained weight working in the juice bar.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was juice, smoothies, and then we also had the coffee bar, and then we had all of the gelato and like baked goods and stuff.
Liquid calories.
Oh, yeah. You were
Funny.
next
But
next
sometimes
to
you'd
that.
make those smoothies in those containers, and you make too much. Then what are you gonna do?
God, yeah.
You
You
gotta
can't let it go
slug
to
it
waste.
down, or I'd make samples or whatever. But
Yeah,
yeah.
so
I think I
what's-
gained 10 pounds working there. It's too many smoothies
So what is your recommended combination? Let's hear it.
for juice.
Yes.
Oh,
What is
hands
it?
down. So a little kale. You gotta have kale.
Okay.
Kale, spinach. If you put a little orange juice as your base, with some apples, you can throw in some ginger and lemon, some other stuff. That's like my favorite.
All right.
So here's something funny. So in 2003 is when I left the pharmaceutical industry and I became a holistic health coach. Now rewind in your brain. Do you remember anyone eating kale? No. So we were all sent on a mission. Like our director from IIN, Institute for Integrative Nutrition in Manhattan. He's like, okay, you're going to go out, you're going to go to the grocery stores, and you're going to help us bring kale to the marketplace.
Wow.
So in 2003,
It was a
we were
psyop,
all out. Right? It
right?
was a psyop.
It was kale
And so
psyop.
we would all go to the grocery stores. And I remember taking my
Or
mom,
psychop.
and I was trying to teach my mom what I was learning. I'm like, all right, Mom, we're going to have kale. And she's like, kale? What the hell's kale? I'm like, come on. We're going to go to the grocery store. We're going to get some kale. They didn't sell kale. So I remember talking to the produce manager. I'm like, dude, where's your kale? He's like, sorry, lady, we don't actually eat kale.
It's a garnish.
He's like, if you want kale, you need to go to the deli because we put it underneath the meat trays.
Right,
So
it's
I
a
go to the
garnish.
deli and I'm like, hi, can I buy some kale, please? And he's like, lady, we only get like the minimum ounce. It's just a garnish. You don't actually eat the kale. It's just a garnish. I'm like, no, I promise you. I want you to eat the kale. I'm like, give me some kale. And he handed me the kale. I'm like, watch, you can just totally eat it raw. And so I'm chewing on the kale. And he's like, you're out of your mind.
He's looking at
Nobody's
you
going
like
to
it's a piece
eat
of paper.
kale.
You
And I'm
just
like, I'm
say-
telling you, we are all going to be eating kale. And so you need to start ordering kale. There's going to be a mad rush on kale. Be ready, man. Be a leader. Be in the front. I'm going to start ordering. And they laughed so hard at me, right? And so 10, 15 years later, I'm working at Whole Foods in the juice bar. And oh my God, if we didn't have organic kale, they were pretty much protesting out in the front, right? And I remember looking at my team and I'm like, 10 years ago, nobody was eating kale. You're welcome. Now let's talk about Swiss chard.
Yes. Exactly.
I'm like, take the heat off kale. Switch it
Yeah.
up. Switch it up. Do a little Swiss chard. And they're like, we're never going to eat Swiss chard. I'm like, yes, you are.
This is like what we're
You
doing in the
are.
Middle East right now. Let's go from one country to the other.
That was so funny. So that Halloween, that's when Lady Gaga did her famous meat dress.
Oh,
But I
yes.
worked in the juice bar, so I created a dress out of kale and Swiss chard, and I wore a white wig, right? And so I won $100 from that costume contest. Thank you very little, but yeah,
Very nice.
wow.
I just have totally random information for you guys.
Yeah.
You can
Gosh.
imagine me in a kale dress now, can't you?
Well,
I
I
can pull those
can
pictures up.
now.
Yeah, I know. I'd like to see that picture. I think we need
too.
to post
Dude, I'm
that
totally
on
gonna
our
share it
Facebook
with you.
page.
Me too. Do it
Yeah.
again.
It came up
Instagram
as
it, yeah.
those
Halloween's
Facebook
coming up.
flashback things. Yeah, it totally came up. I'm like, oh,
On your
kale
Facebook
dress,
feed?
Yeah.
Wow.
And there's a picture of my husband steadfastly, helping me create this kale dress.
Yeah.
So I wanted to
love it.
redo. These were my crazy days, right? I wanted to redo Lady Gaga's "Boys, Boys, Boys." But it was rewritten as Kale, Kale, Kale. I had it all worked out. And so whenever that song comes on, I sing it at the top of my lungs, and it's all about kale. And I talked about, my farms to school experience, bringing fresh produce to the school system in Washington when I worked there. And
You
so
did that?
one day I'll sing it for you. Yeah.
That's super cool that you did that.
Farms to school. Yeah. I
Yeah,
loved
that's
that. That was my
awesome.
PTA days. That was my Girl Scout PTA days.
Wow. And I think right now mustard greens are saying, and what am I, chop liver?
I know,
Yeah.
right?
Totally.
Mustard greens.
They're a little
you know?
bitter.
They've
Yeah.
been replaced by kale and
Yeah.
you know,
Now
all
they
stuff.
can't even grow enough kale.
Right.
So they're like, we have to do something else. And so now all the holistic health coaches are like, oh, sorry. Not sorry.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And, if you don't get it organic, you're really screwed because it's one of the most pesticide
Even the
ridden
organic
things when
labeling,
it's-
it's kind of a tricky subject.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
See, what was it? What's the term for that? Then what's the nasty 7 or whatever?
Oh, the dirty dozen.
The dirty dozen.
That's it.
Yeah,
the dirty
strawberries.
dozen. Be careful.
Are you going to eat the skin or not? Because that's how you decide.
Yeah.
I just eat regular bananas. I'm just going to let you know that.
I'm shocked.
I know, right?
Well, I have a complaint about organic bananas.
What?
They put a piece of tape around them, and you have to buy the whole bunch. And I don't want to buy 7 or 8 bananas. I want to buy 3 bananas. So I'm always like, I feel like a criminal cutting the tape to just get my 3 bananas.
Here's your secret, Satch.
Yeah.
Buy all 7.
Okay.
Take half of them, peel them immediately, and put them in the freezer, and use them in your smoothies.
You see what we learn on the show?
See?
Yeah, see?
It's an educational pursuit.
That's why they
Right.
pay me the big bucks.
Exactly.
So
At
you're
the
looking at
Authenticity
Carlos
Show.
right now. What am I going to learn from this guy tonight? And it's exciting.
Next time I go to his house, I'll just go, hey, do you have any frozen bananas? And I know there's going to be some.
close
there.
my freezer most days because it's so full of frozen fruit. And I look in my cabinet and I'm like, where's all my containers? Like, oh, they're in the freezer holding bananas. Because I I actually
That's
do that
bananas.
exact same thing.
Yeah. So, this is interesting because, I mean, here you are. You're a person. You do this
am a person.
networking.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
you are a person. You do this networking.
I just noticed that too, actually.
Yeah, and you do oils, and you've worked
I
for
don't think
generals.
you've even
and
said my name. My name is Sandy.
that's right. Yeah, yeah. This is Sandy.
I
Yeah.
was going to ask you earlier, do you, these days, do you go by Sandy Funk Chasteen or just Sandy Chasteen?
I just have funk on there for my high school friends.
Oh, so they can find
that's
you.
why.
Yeah, that's the only reason.
Because I like both names, but funk is fun for like funk it up, get funky.
Oh
and all
my
sorts
God.
of fun stuff with that.
Yes, growing up with the name Funk, it was good times every day. Yeah.
I'm sure.
Funk you, okay?
Funk off, everyone. Just funk off.
So I only have it there for my high school friends. So my married name is Chasteen, but my middle name is Jean. Have fun with that. Yes, it's true. I'm Sandra Jean Chasteen.
Oh my goodness. Wow. You are an expert in essential oils, and I thought it'd be really cool if you shared some tips with people that know a little bit but not much, and could
Sure.
love some tips with things that they could do, and would be helpful stuff with essential oils and things like that. It'd be really cool if you could do
Sure,
that.
you bet. So essential oils are everywhere. You can get them at Bed Bath & Beyond. You can get them at your gas station. So there's lots of different grades of essential oils. So I would say choose wisely. First of all, get the highest quality that you can. Most people think of the essential oils for physical issues. So if you have a headache, most people know to put peppermint on your temples or behind your neck. For me, the sexiness of oils and the power and the majesty of them is looking at the emotional and spiritual side of healing for the essential oils. So we have lots of books now on so here's the physical part of the essential oils. Here's the different ailments. Here's the oils that you would use. And I think the most important thing to remember is that the oils aren't going to treat or cure anything, right? Really what they're doing is they're helping the body to go back into balance. So the body's imbalanced in some level. And as a holistic health coach, we know that the body is not going to just spontaneously create some manifestation of dis-ease. There's always an emotional root. So this is where I love to teach about the essential oils. So if we know that frankincense, for example, what do you know about frankincense? Pop quiz.
I know that it treats. I'm not going to back up it.
We don't want to say treats.
I know that it
helps the body get back into balance.
Yes, but
to
I do know that they've done some medical research, and that it actually was used to treat and shrink tumors
Sure. So
by medical doctors.
Yep.
That were doing the research on that. So I do know that.
awesome.
I also know that traditionally it's been used for joint pain and inflammation. And I know that esoterically it's related to the sun and to angelic high vibration. I think that's why like church incense is frankincense and myrrh. Those two essences, they drive out negativity, uplift, and raise the vibration and of thoughts and feelings, and create an environment that is harmonious to angelic and higher divine power.
Yes, absolutely. Nice. So when we think of frankincense on an emotional, spiritual level, frankincense is known for reconnecting us with spirit, reconnecting us with the Father, the notion of Father, right? You mentioned frankincense and myrrh. Okay, best baby shower gifts ever. So frankincense connects you with spirit, Father. The theme is that it helps you overcome feelings of abandonment and loss, right? Now think of all those physical ailments you just mentioned. Okay, the body doesn't create cancer out of nothing. What do we know about cancer? Usually there's something to forgive, right? And you've lost your connection with source. You've forgotten that you're a spiritual being in a physical plane down here having these experiences. So frankincense helps to repair in the cell what has gone awry in the mind and the heart.
Wow.
You with me?
Yeah. It's
so
beautiful.
frankincense connects you with spirit, Father, that sense of being abandoned. Like you're down here. Oh my gosh, I'm all by myself, right? It's kind of like we were talking about earlier. You want to get rid of that victimhood. No. Now, myrrh, give you a nickel if you can remember what myrrh does.
As I recall, myrrh is related to the planet of Saturn, and therefore Binah, which would be the mother, and Saturn. So spiritual law, karma, dealing with your shit, basically.
I love it. I love you,
being
Carlos.
disciplined and
Thank you
so
for
forth.
knowing all of this. Yes. Yeah. So let's go back to our best baby shower gift ever. Baby Jesus in a manger, maybe, right? Son of God down here to help humanity to shift. So we're going to give the baby frankincense and myrrh. Frankincense connects you with Father. Myrrh connects you with Mother and helps you release those karmic debts. Do you see the symbolism there?
Absolutely.
And then what's the third thing? Gold. Well, they could have given gold coins, maybe not. But what do they use in that part of the world that is gold in color?
What do they use in that part of the world that's
Starts
golden?
with a T.
Turmeric?
Yeah, turmeric. So a lot of people in the
interesting.
community think it was really frankincense, myrrh, and turmeric. Now, if you put those three out and you look at the physical healing potential of those three agents, you really have the mother of all medicine cabinets.
Wow.
How's that?
Interesting.
Do you like that?
I love it.
Yeah.
This is really cool.
Yeah.
So that's what I like to
Yeah.
teach. So if you understand, it always goes back to spiritual being, physical plane, right? So here we are, this big bundle of cells. The cells aren't functioning correctly. We need to rewind it back. What's going on spiritually? What's going on emotionally? And what's going to help you reconnect with source? Remember who you are. Spiritual being, physical plane. We're all down here having all of these experiences. And if we can get into that space of love, compassion, and non-judgment, then we can see the oils in a completely different space and modality. And so, yes, they will absolutely help you with the physical things, but it's because of the emotional, spiritual side. So it's really it's the plants, everything that can go sideways in a human being. God gave us a plant for everything. So we're just now figuring out and restructuring how we organize the plant kingdom in a way to support us. But it's kind of like you're taking the blood or the immune system from the plant and applying it in the physical body. So to me, the more we can reconnect with the plant kingdom, right, and connect with the earth. We're so dissociated from the earth with all of our technology and blah, 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 blah. But it's really a time to take a deep breath, reconnect. And so I always invite people, you see people slapping their oils all around. I always invite people, put a few drops in your hand and just put your hand over your hand and just connect with that oil. It's a volatile aromatic compound, yes. That's what makes them so amazing. But to just gently activate them between the palms of your hand. Not a brisk, I just go nice and gentle, It'd be very gentle, allow it to activate. And then there's 3 ways to use the oils. So we use them aromatically, so you can inhale them or have a diffuser. You can apply them on your skin, which is the largest organ, or you can take them internally. Not the gas station ones. Make sure you've got a quality brand and it says, yes, you can actually take this internally. For doTERRA, we have a nutritional supplement label, so it's pretty easy to tell. But, so kind of the beginners just place their hands over their nose and take a gentle inhalation. I like to hang out with all the super cool holistic people, right? So our friends. And so I've learned the cool cats. So I've learned a technique where you place your fingers on your third eye. Mm-hmm. And then when you're taking that nice deep inhalation, use the rest of your body. Use your hands to trace how those oils are traveling through your body. And you can feel it. You can really connect. And so as you're inhaling, I like to physically work my hands through what's happening in my brain. So it's the oils are going in through the olfactory system. They're connecting with those bulbs. And I like to just take my hands and go over my head and trace where that oil is going down through the limbic system into, the back, the base of the skull, the amygdala. That's where the emotional center is. That's where the magic happens with these essential oils, is on the back of the neck. And then trace it going down the base of your spine, down through your back. Connect with your heart chakra, with your lungs, where you're taking in life, and then at the exhale, push it out. And then you can create this amazing circuit.
I love it. So you're following your sensations.
You're following your sensation, and you're just deeply connecting with the oil. Of course, I have an oil. Do you guys want to try it?
Yeah.
Would love to, yeah.
Twist my arm.
Yeah.
Well, this has been amazing. Freaking fabulous conversation with you guys. I appreciate you both. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
It's been great. Mm-hmm. Great conversation, great exploration, and
great smells.
I'm totally, I love sandalwood. I'm just totally blissed out over it.
Yeah, me too. I'm loving it.
Mm-hmm. It wasn't the most impactful oil, but we're just kind of chilling.
Sure.
Love it.
Sandy, how could people get a hold of you if they wanted to learn more about oils or have a session or anything like that? Or join your networking lunch bunch?
I would love that. Yeah, so my networking group is Lunch Bunch, and if you go on Facebook, it should pop right up. And anybody can join the group and see kind of what our community is doing. We meet the third Friday of every month at a wellness studio called Body Studios in Anaheim. It's just on the other side of the I-5 from Disneyland. So we have a great time with that. I have a website. It's www.sandychasteen.com, but it's under revision right now. So it should be back up in about a week. But I usually have my classes and events going on there. In terms of essential oils, hit me up anytime. You can reach me on phone. Text me, because you're competing with all the robocallers. 949-439-7759. Or shoot me an email, Sandy. What is my email? Sandy.chasteen@yahoo.com. That's it. I knew I'd remember it.
Okay.
But texting or emailing is probably the best. I don't know about you guys, but I probably get 10 to 15 either timeshare or robocalls. Yep. My favorites are the ones that are in Chinese. I'm
Every
really?
day.
I have no idea what you're saying.
Oh, my favorite are the calls where they just hang up as soon as you answer the phone.
Yeah, it's just freaking annoying.
What's the point?
Mm-hmm.
So please text me. Don't try to call me. It's too hard. It's too hard to take phone calls right now. But and so I love sharing the Aroma Touch experience with people. That's my currency. That's my give, and I just love that. So that's what
And you're good at it.
Thank you. I'm pulling something from somewhere. I don't know, but that's what I love to do, to share with people, and especially if you're out there and you're suffering. It's a special poll right now for anyone suffering from anxiety, depression, or PTSD. I'm just feeling really called to serve those. And hey, been there, done that in our family. We have been through the gamut ourselves, and maybe we're on the other side and I'm in a greater capacity to help others. I'm not sure, but if you're out there and you're suffering, then hit me up. I'll totally rub some oils on you.
Awesome.
You've been listening to The Authenticity Show with your hosts, Carlos Casados and Satch Purcell. Very special thanks to our guest, Sandy Chasteen. If you want to get in touch with Sandy, as she just said, you can find her website at sandychasteen.com, or you can go on Facebook and look up Lunch Bunch, which is her networking group. My name is Oliver Altine. I record, edit, and produce the show. I also wrote our theme song, which you're listening to right now. You can actually find this song, by the way, on an album of mine called Obsidian Kite. The name of the song is Wedding Bells for the Dead. And the interstitial music this time was another live jam. That's a song I'm calling Mysteries of the Deep. We'll see. It's still a work in progress. Please subscribe to The Authenticity Show wherever you get your podcasts, and find us on social media. Check us out on YouTube. Wherever you find stuff, you can find us. And our website is AuthenticityShow.com. Thanks for listening, and have an authentic day.